Thank you. Diversity, awareness, creativity, courage, patience, sense of justice, communication skills, in-depth knowledge, know your audience. I like that one from Sakia. Field reality. Very good. The reality check, knowing what's going on. Engaging, creative, adaptable from Emma. Yeah. So the tension is there very clearly between creativity, skills, patience, and then on the other hand, knowing the field, the audience, and having some technical skills like language, understanding the topic. And I like the one from Lucia, persistence. Also, how not to give up, because knowledge brokering, as we'll hear and explore and unpack, is sometimes a delicate affair. And I think with this, I'll hand over to Lucia. Thank you so much. And if you've just joined, we just have done a quick check-in on what does it mean when we talk about knowledge brokering, what comes to your mind, and what skills do we need? And you might still see some of these in the chat. Thanks so much. And over to you, Lucia.
Great. Thank you, Bettina.
Lucia, I love your background, and thank you for turning on your camera. It's very nice to see you.
Yes, lovely to have you, and welcome again, especially those who have joined a little bit late. We're very glad to have you. So as Bettina said, and as you all shared in the chat box, we were exploring the concept of knowledge brokering. So we wanted to give you a very quick background about what we in CDKN and also through the work of the Red Cross Climate Center have understood on knowledge brokering. So let me just share my screen again. Yeah, I think here really the key word is brokering, and this is the word that actually has quite bad connotations in many cases. Normally people feel that there is a monetary transaction, because that is what we understand by the word broker: an insurance broker, a stock broker, an estate broker, someone who basically gets a commission when there is a buyer on one side and a seller on the other. And so normally there is a monetary transaction here, but you can see also here in this middleman, the person in between with who is gaining from this transaction. But in fact, the way we are looking at it is quite differently. We are seeing knowledge brokers as really a bridge or a link between the producers of knowledge on one side. So these may be researchers, they may be communities that hold a lot of traditional knowledge, they may be practitioners who have applied knowledge from the ground, from working every day on a particular area, and those who are using this information on the other side. So the knowledge brokers are really convening and bringing together these different types of knowledge holders as well as users. And sometimes you will understand that this role is malleable and flexible. Sometimes we may be the ones who are producing knowledge, sometimes we are the ones who are using it, sometimes we are the ones who are helping to get it disseminated and used so that we can take better decisions, so that we can facilitate the process of change. So we have, not us in CDKN, but there is this spectrum of knowledge brokering, which describes a whole range of activities that can be included in knowledge brokering. So the definition is very wide, and as you will see in the spectrum, the number of activities that get covered by it are actually quite innumerable. So if we start on the left side of the spectrum, you will see there is an intermediary. So in this case, a knowledge broker is really somebody who is enabling access to information, making it much more widely available. So you may think, for example, of a portal on the internet where there is a lot of like climate information, for example, or databases. So that is where we are seeing, like, and making information available to users. After that, in the second category, we have the knowledge translator. So here there is something a bit more that comes into play, and that we talked about in the chat box. Like, you have to know your audience in order to be able to help people to make sense and apply that information. So here we may be thinking about making the information relevant to the audience's needs, user-friendly, so that it's easily understandable. We have to think about how credible it is for the people who are using it. They have to trust that it's from a good source. They have to feel it's legitimate. So all of these aspects are something that a knowledge translator will really be considering. When we go into the third category, you can see on the top it says relational. Here we start to have much more a process of bringing stakeholders together and building relationships. So we're helping to improve the use of knowledge in decision making, but we may also be producing knowledge together. So as I was mentioning before, different types of knowledge, indigenous or traditional or local or experiential, applied knowledge come together with maybe the scientific and academic, and we produce a knowledge that is encompassing all of these different types. But so what that means, though, is also that when we're bringing stakeholders together, we have to start to deal with the relationships between them. There may be power relations. And so that takes us to the last category where we are doing some innovation brokering. So here we really start to look at what are the barriers to change or to taking better evidence-based decisions, and we try to influence the wider context. So, for example, we may be looking at systemic barriers like patriarchal norms, like gender is not being considered. So we try to address gender inequalities or disparities, or, for example, power relations. We'll see that also later in one of the activities. We see that sectors are not talking to each other. There are silos between them. So we try to bridge and result in better coordination. So from this, you can see that really we have quite a variety of tasks, activities, roles that knowledge brokers can play. And in this slide, we're just showing that again. We go from synthesizing, translating information, communicating it, to being more of a coordinator, a networker. We build capacities, we synergize between different types of stakeholders or knowledge types. And finally, we're also can be change agents. We're trying to facilitate change or better, once again, decisions. So I will stop with this. This is what we wanted to show you, just to give you a little bit of theory, of understanding on what we understand from knowledge brokering. So as you can see, it's not purely about knowledge, it's really about the processes and the people that come together and the knowledge that they hold, but it's about the this collaboration and engagement, which is something very important. So what we wanted to do in the rest of the session was to get split up into two groups. I see that we now have a few more participants than when we started. I'm very glad to see that. So I think we may be able to have two groups because we're going to have some quite interactive activities, and it's better actually if we are in smaller groups. In the first one, depending on which order you go in, but one will be on the left side of the spectrum. So Lisa and Emma will be taking you through some activities that pertain to the intermediary knowledge translation role of knowledge brokers. So here you will be really exploring things around communication strategies, knowing your audience, etc. And so you will be doing quite a practical exercise that hopefully can help you when you are thinking about disseminating and making sure that your information, your knowledge is relevant and credible for your audiences. And then in the other group, Bettina and I will be taking you through an activity on the right side of the spectrum, so the more knowledge innovation brokering, and we will be looking at some of the issues that come up when you are in a group setting, for example, power relations. So you will have a chance to take part in both groups. We will be staying for about 20-25 minutes in each of these two groups. I think that Bettina is probably creating these two groups at the moment. So you will be joining the first one and then the second one. You will just need to stay there. You don't need to do anything. The facilitator teams will swap around. So we will be convening all back in plenary in about 50 minutes or so. So yeah, the rest of the session is going to be in smaller groups and hopefully it will entertain you and you will learn something new about knowledge brokering. So yes, I think maybe Bettina, I let you tell us if we need to click on something or will we just be sent off?
I think we'll just be sent off. And I just wanted to make sure that the Gobeshona tech team, that someone will remain here in plenary. So we'll make sure that if someone loses connection, they will still be allocated to one of the rooms, because we'll be staying in these rooms now for, I think, 20 minutes. And then we're going to switch. So this is going to be a long session. Can I just have confirmation from the Gobeshona team? I would like to just do a quick wrap up and really just for 2 minutes say, so from these parallel sessions, do you have any insights that you'd like to share here? What does it mean to be a successful knowledge broker? And what do you think are your reflections here? If you have to give any recommendations and insight from this session, please take the floor or type in the chat. It's always nice to hear from you. So my preference is you open the microphone and share an insight if you can, something that you've learned. And I'll give you a moment to gather your thoughts. One thing that I've learned is that Mary has very fierce acting skills, and that I hope you are not meeting people in power who are as adamant and convincing as Mary. It was brilliant performance there in the role play. Anything else you've learned? Anything at all? An insight that you'd like to share? I have great capacity for silence, so we'll open the floor to whoever wants to speak.
And maybe just to say that you will be given an opportunity to share what you have learned in writing, because we're also going to ask it to you on a Mentimeter, because we'd really like to get a sense of what people are learning or taking away from these type of sessions. But if there is anything to share now, that would also be great to hear.
Okay. From
Thank
this
you,
session, from this session, I have learned what is power and actually how you can use the power word to communicate with others, and how you can use them to share your knowledge and ask them to share their thinking about the topic. So you can use power words like this, and also how I can focus in my next project, how we can very quickly you can fix the target audience and my other activities for future project. I think it's good for me, and I have a planning how to share for future projects, how I can communicate with them, how I can teach them and train them, how they can learn from my project goal, so they know they can gather more information from me, and I also can share better way. Okay.
Thank you so much, Lucia.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing those insights. Anyone else who'd like to take the floor? One thing that you thought was interesting? Yes, Fatma, please, the floor is yours.
Actually, I really enjoy these breakout rooms, and the games are both entertaining and educational. And I have learned how to communicate with others in a fun way. And filling out the doc file forces me to think in small chunks. So sure, it's entertaining. The whole session is really entertaining and learning as well. And thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you, Fatima. If there are any other comments, otherwise we have been advised 4 minutes left for our session. We'll close on time. So I'll hand over to Lucia.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you for those comments and for your active participation to everyone in the session. I hope that you enjoyed it. We don't have too much more to say from our side, but we would really appreciate if you could fill in the Mentimeter so that we can just have a little bit in writing what you have learned. I wonder, since we still have a couple of minutes, maybe we could share some of the results if any are coming through, because that will also encourage people to write something, because we'll see how many people have already written. Should we do it, Emma? Have any responses come through? Oh, we have 4, so I'm quite happy. So people have learned about listening to others, formulation of stories in collaboration to ensure smooth flow of knowledge. I think that was from one of the breakout groups. I see games are entertaining and educational, how knowledge moves and stories move and change and can be harnessed, and that power is a serious obstacle to navigate. Great. I think those are very important reflections and things, yes, that of course, when we are knowledge brokers, we will be dealing with all the time, like thinking about how to move knowledge, the importance of listening skills. I see over here the issue of power that will always come through. And the fact that, yes, one can use games. And I think that this is something that we'd really like to encourage you to explore for your sessions when you're working with different stakeholders and community groups, because it really helps to both break the ice, but they can always be related back to your context, to your work. And I think that is a good activity, how to use power of words to communicate with others, and hearing and sharing knowledge. So perhaps on that note, thank you so much, Emma, for the sharing. We can just let you know that we are going to have another, well, as CDKN, we have a couple of sessions coming up. There is one tomorrow on Voices from the Frontline. There is one on Thursday about gender. And then on Thursday, there's another one that we're doing together with the Red Cross Climate Center, with Bettina, and also with the colleagues from Wageningen, about learning styles. That is the one that perhaps ties the most to this session. It's going to be at 3:30 p.m. GMT, and the title is Learning Styles. So if any of you are interested in still exploring how to set up quite interactive sessions, but considering once again your audience, no, because everybody learns in different ways and will take away issues in different ways, then you can come and join the session. It will give you a bit of a sense of how to be aware of who is sitting in your room and how people like to take that knowledge away. So yes, as Emma is saying, please also answer the last question. I think she's now transferred the Mentimeter to the following question. We need it for our monitoring and evaluation. So thank you again for joining, and please enjoy the rest of the conference. And we hope to see you again in some of our sessions coming up. And thank you so much to the ICCCAD team for all the support in the background, and to all of you for still being here. Have a great day, evening.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Lovely to meet you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.